It's been over 4 decades since Airwolf first thundered across our television screens, pulling us into a world of covert missions, supersonic helicopters, and Cold War tension that somehow felt both thrilling and weirdly personal. If you grew up watching that sleek black aircraft tear across the sky, you probably still remember the theme music, that propulsive, oddly melancholy score, and the way the rotor wash seemed to rattle the whole frame of every shot. The show ran for 3 seasons on CBS, starting in 1984, and the people who brought it to life have had stories since then that are, in some ways, just as dramatic as anything that happened on screen. Here's what happened to the cast.
You're telling me you're doing this for the next generation?
Hey, you get to be my age, Sonny. You'll see that it's important to leave something behind.
Number 1. Michael Vincent, who played Stringfellow Hawke from 1984 to 1986.
Disengage rotor systems. 8 count on my mark for turbine ignition. You're crazy.
Vincent was 40 years old when he took the controls of Airwolf, bringing a brooding, quiet intensity to this reclusive pilot who lived in a mountaintop cabin with his cello and his grief and his secrets. Hawke was a character who kept the world at arm's length, and Vincent played that isolation with a stillness that felt completely genuine. You believed this man had decided the world had taken enough from him, and you weren't sure he was wrong. He appeared in all 79 episodes of the original CBS run. Sadly, Michael Vincent passed away on February 10, 2019, at age 74 from a heart attack. Before Airwolf, he was genuinely one of the more exciting young actors in Hollywood. Films like Big Wednesday, White Line Fever, and The World's Greatest Athlete had established him as a 1970s leading man with real range. Charismatic, physical, able to anchor a film without effort. But the years between the show's end and his death were hard in ways that are difficult to read about. Roles dried up to B-movies and direct-to-video work, and while a small part in Buffalo 66 in 1998 suggested he still had something to offer, it didn't lead anywhere meaningful. His personal life was marked by battles that never really let up. He was married 3 times and struggled for decades with alcohol and drug addiction, which led to multiple arrests, serious car accidents, and significant physical injuries. A crash in 1996 broke his neck and permanently damaged his vocal cords. In 2012, his right leg was amputated below the knee. He spent his final years quietly in Mississippi, largely withdrawn from public life. It's a story that's hard to hold in your mind alongside the actor you remember. Young, magnetic, the kind of presence that the camera just found naturally. And that gap between the 2 versions of him is exactly what makes his story so heartbreaking.
Ah, come on. Nobody lives forever. It's just that, well, I just love the idea, that's all.
Number 2. Ernest Borgnine, who played Dominic Santini from 1984 to 1986. Borgnine was already 67 years old when he signed on to play Dominic, the warm, gruff helicopter mechanic who was as close to a father figure as Hawke was ever going to let anyone be. He brought a lifetime of credibility to all 79 episodes, and you could feel it in every scene. Ernest Borgnine passed away on July 8, 2012, at age 95 from renal failure. And the thing that strikes you when you look back at his life is just how much he managed to fit into it. There's a version of his career where he could have coasted on the Oscar and done nothing in particular for 40 years. He did the opposite. He'd already won an Academy Award for Marty in 1955, a quiet, human little film about loneliness that somehow beat out Mr. Roberts and Picnic that year. He'd starred in From Here to Eternity, The Wild Bunch, The Poseidon Adventure. By the time he showed up on Airwolf, he had more than 3 decades of major screen work behind him, and he still wasn't done. After the show ended, he kept going. A role in Gattaca, an Emmy nomination for a guest spot on ER in 2009, and a late career fan favorite turn as the voice of Mermaid Man on SpongeBob SquarePants, which introduced him to an entirely new generation of people who had absolutely no idea they were watching a movie legend at work. He was married 5 times, but found something lasting with his 5th wife, Tova Tresnes. They stayed together for 39 years until his death. He was a decorated World War II Navy veteran, and everyone who worked with him described someone who showed up fully, enthusiastically, every single time. The Screen Actors Guild gave him their Life Achievement Award in 2011, a year before he died.
So are the Russians.
Not yet. So far, he hasn't even let them take a look at it.
He's keeping it for himself.
Number 3. Alex Cord, who played Michael Goldsmith Briggs III, Archangel, from 1984 to 1986. Of all the characters in the show, Archangel may be the one who felt most like a genre archetype done exactly right. the intelligence handler who knows more than he tells and smiles about it. Cord was 51 when he stepped into the role, bringing a cool, contained sophistication to the white-suited intelligence operative who always seemed to be 3 steps ahead of everyone else in the room. That eye patch, that immaculate suit. Archangel was a character you could build a whole show around, and Cord made him feel effortlessly credible across 44 episodes. Sadly, Alex Cord passed away on August 19, 2021, at age 88 from natural causes. Before the show, he had built a steady and varied career. He starred in the 1966 remake of Stagecoach, showed up in Mission Impossible and other TV dramas, and made himself one of those reliable presences that productions were glad to have. After Airwolf, he kept working, guest spots on Murder, She Wrote and Walker, Texas Ranger, and he also turned to writing, publishing a novel called A Feather in the Storm. He was married 3 times, and his 3rd marriage to Susanna Horton lasted over 30 years. In his later years, he lived on a ranch in Valley View, Texas, competing in rodeos and spending time with the horses he loved. There's something appealing about that image, a man who spent years playing a character of layered deception and hidden agendas, finding his peace somewhere quiet and wide open.
Not into East Germany.
Looks like I'm gonna have to. I have no choice.
Hey guys, what'd the doctor have to say?
Number 4. Jean Bruce Scott, who played Caitlin O'Shaughnessy from 1984 to 1986. Scott was 33 when she joined the cast as the Texas Highway Patrol officer turned helicopter pilot, and she brought real warmth to a character who could easily have been underwritten. Caitlin wasn't just there to fill a seat in the cockpit. She was capable, quick, and grounded in a way that balanced out some of the show's more operatic tendencies. Her presence gave Hawke and Santini's dynamic somewhere new to go, and the show was genuinely better for it. Scott appeared in 42 episodes across the CBS run. Today in 2026, she's 75 years old. She came to Airwolf having already done solid work in television: Days of Our Lives, Magnum P.I., Saint Elsewhere. And after the show, she continued with guest appearances on Matlock and Highway to Heaven, before eventually choosing to step away from the entertainment industry in the 1990s entirely. That kind of deliberate exit is rarer than you might think in Hollywood, and it says something about her sense of what actually mattered. She's been married to actor and musician Robert Van de Castile since 1979, more than 45 years now, and they have 1 son together. Her post-Hollywood life has been dedicated to humanitarian work through organizations like Naturopaths Without Borders and Rotary International. It's a different kind of legacy than most of her co-stars built, and not a lesser one by any measure.
Airwolf can exceed Mach 1 from sea level to 65,000 feet.
Number 5. Deborah Pratt, who played Morella from 1984 to 1985. Morella was the intelligence operative who worked alongside Archangel and handled the connective tissue between the Airwolf team and whatever shadowy organization they ultimately answered to. It wasn't the biggest part in the show, but Pratt made the most of her 14 episodes across the first 2 seasons, and what was happening in her career during that period turned out to be far more significant than what was happening on screen. She was 22 when Airwolf premiered, and she'd already been building her credits through shows like Chips, Days of Our Lives, and Magnum P.I., all of which had one thing in common. They were produced or run by Donald P. Bellisario, whom she married in June 1984, the very month the show debuted. That connection would shape and then complicate the years that followed. After Airwolf, Pratt made a transition that very few people who start as performers actually managed to pull off. She became the showrunner, co-executive producer, and head writer of Quantum Leap, Bellisario's beloved time travel drama, writing 22 episodes and providing the voice of Ziggy, the AI that Sam Beckett spent the series trying to negotiate with. She also served as the show's narrator. It was substantial, lasting creative work on one of the more beloved genre series of that era, and she received an Emmy nomination in 1999 for her writing on the animated film Our Friend Martin. She and Bellisario divorced in 1991, and she's been candid about what followed, the way a high-profile Hollywood split can quietly close doors that used to open on their own. Despite that, she kept directing, making her feature debut with Cora Unashamed for Masterpiece Theater in 2000, and directing episodes of Grey's Anatomy as recently as 2023 and 2024. Her daughter, Troyan Bellisario, went on to play Spencer Hastings in Pretty Little Liars, and has herself become a writer and director, a kind of continuity across generations that feels like its own story worth telling.
I'm flying this stunt with or without you.
A dangerous stunt comes between Stringfellow.
Number 6. Lance Legault, who played Colonel Briggs and recurred in various antagonist roles from 1984 to 1986. Legault came to Hollywood via one of the genuinely stranger origin stories you'll find in the business. He started out as a stunt double for Elvis Presley, appearing in several of the early 1960s Presley films: Girls, 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 Kissin' Cousins, Viva Las Vegas, Roustabout. From there, he transitioned into acting, bringing with him a voice that Knight Rider creator Glenn A. Larson once described as being 4 octaves lower than God's. That's not really an exaggeration. It was one of the most distinctive instruments in television, low and unhurried, the kind of voice that made every scene feel a little more serious the moment he opened his mouth. By the time he joined Airwolf, he was already well established as Colonel Roderick Decker on the A-Team and Colonel Buck Green on Magnum P.I., both running concurrently with his Airwolf appearances, which tells you something about how much demand there was for exactly what he did. He had a supporting part in the Michael Crichton film Coma in 1978 and turned up in the Bill Murray comedy Stripes in 1981. In his later years, he added voice work to his credits. He narrated the self-guided audio tour at Graceland, voiced characters in Disney's Home on the Range, and did commercial work. There's a pleasing symmetry to that Graceland connection, the man who once doubled for Elvis, eventually becoming the voice that guided visitors through Elvis's home. He was orphaned at 4 when his father died, spending 3 years in a Catholic orphanage before his mother remarried. It's the kind of early difficulty that you can sometimes see in the texture of a person's working life. A certain groundedness underneath the performance, something earned rather than constructed. Away from the set, he flew his own Cessna Skyhawk and bred Arabian horses on his ranch. Sadly, Lance Legault died of heart failure on September 10, 2012, at his home in Los Angeles at age 77. He was survived by his wife Teresa, to whom he'd been married for 35 years, and their 4 children. A final reflection. The crew of Airwolf took us on missions that still feel vivid even now. But the real lives of these 6 people have turned out to be just as varied and surprising as anything the show's writers could have invented. Ernest Borgnine worked joyfully into his 90s. Michael Vincent fought battles the cameras never showed. Alex Cord found peace on a Texas ranch. Jean Bruce Scott walked away from the industry on her own terms and built something quietly meaningful. Deborah Pratt turned a supporting role into a launching pad for one of the more remarkable behind-the-scenes careers of her generation. And Lance Legault, who never once played the hero, spent half a century making every hero in the frame more convincing for having someone like him to push against. Each of them gave something real to a show about an impossible helicopter doing impossible things. What they did with their lives afterward is a reminder that the performances you remember were only ever one small part of who these people actually were. The Airwolf may have been fiction, but the lives behind it were beautifully, stubbornly real. If this video brought back some memories, drop a comment. Tell us which cast member surprised you most. And if you want more deep dives into the shows that defined an era, subscribe and stick around. There's a lot more to cover. Aha!